So my daughter and grandbabies are coming into town and we're going to have lunch with them on Sunday, and they have requested cheesecake brownies. The only problem is I don't have time between now and then to make them fresh. So cheesecake brownies freeze incredibly well. So today I'm gonna go ahead and make them and then freeze them, and I wanted to bring you along for the entire process. So what you're gonna need for the first part is your brownie base. And I absolutely love the Hershey's Triple Chocolate Fudge Brownie Mix. I get it at Sam's. It comes 4 packages to a box, and it is my absolute favorite. It has chocolate chips and chocolate chunks and dark Dutch cocoa, and it makes an amazing brownie. So what you're gonna wanna do for one batch, which will make 16 cheesecake brownie bars, is go ahead and empty 1 pack of the brownie mix into your mixing bowl. And to that, you want to add whatever the instructions call for the brownies. So for me, that is 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. We're gonna have 2 large eggs, and I went ahead and beat them. And they are room temperature eggs. It also calls for 2 tablespoons of water. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. And we're just gonna mix this up by hand. And what you can do before you start this process is go ahead and preheat your oven to 325 degrees. And then you want to choose a pan that is a dark coated pan. The one that I use is 8.5 by 12. It is slightly smaller than a traditional 9 by 13. And it gives us just a little bit thicker cheesecake brownie. You can certainly use a 9 by 13 and just adjust your baking time. So this really doesn't take a long time to mix up, especially if you go ahead and beat those eggs before you add them in. Now, we're gonna pour this into our prepared pan, and I have sprayed this pan with a butter cooking spray, and I have lined it with a parchment paper. This just makes it a lot easier to lift out once they have cooled. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump that in. Just bear with me here. And then once we get it in there, we're just going to spread it out. And then once we get it spread out, we'll go ahead and we will go to the next step, which is to make our cheesecake topping. For the cheesecake topping that's going to go on our cheesecake brownies, you're going to need 1 block or 8 ounces of a full fat room temperature cream cheese. And I've already added that to my bowl. You do want to make sure that you lay it out a couple of hours before you need it so it can come to room temperature. And it really depends on how cold or warm it is where you are, but you want it to be soft enough that it will blend well. You're gonna need 1/2 cup of sugar, and we're gonna go ahead and add that to our cream cheese, and we're gonna cream that together before adding our egg and vanilla. It's gonna be a little bit thick to begin with. And that's kind of normal. You just want to cream it till it's light and fluffy. scrape down the sides of the bowl as needed. Once you get the cream cheese and the sugar cream together, you can add in 1 large room temperature egg and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And you want to mix that until it's well combined. Okay, so we're back. We've got our cream cheese topping all blended together, and I'm just gonna spoon dollops of it all over the top of my brownie mix. Just kind of dollop it in there until it's all gone. Go. And then you can take a case knife or a butter knife and you just want to start swirling it together. You don't want to completely mix it, but you do want to spread it around and just swirl it together. This will give it a really cool two-tone effect as it bakes. And then once you have that done, you're gonna place it in your oven that is preheated to 325 degrees, and you're gonna bake it for about 30 minutes until it's golden brown on the top. So once it has baked and we pull it out, we'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. So our cheesecake brownies have completely cooled. I have lifted them out of the pan with the parchment paper, and now we are ready to cut them. You'll also notice that I added some chocolate chips to the top of this, and I did that right before I put them into the oven. You can add about a half a cup of semi-sweet or milk chocolate chips. I was using what I had, and so I also added a handful of dark chocolate pieces as well. It's very yummy. All right, so generally what I do is I cut off all the edges, and I know that that's just horrifying to some people who like the crunchy edges, but I promise you I save them for my husband, and he eats those. So I go ahead and just cut off the edges and put them on a plate for him. And as I told you before, these are actually for us to enjoy with the family on Sunday. Our grandbabies and our daughter are coming into town for a little bit of a visit, and so I went ahead and got these made today because it was the only day that I really had time to get that done. And I am going to layer them into a box and wrap them up and put them into the freezer. And then I will lay them out Sunday morning to start thawing. So now that we have them all trimmed up, we're going to cut them into 16 even squares. You can measure them if you want to. I usually just eyeball it. And then you just place them into the box. I have a piece of parchment paper on the bottom of this box. Yes, my slices are not even at all, but that's okay. It's just for the family. And this is kind of sticky and gooey, but you get the picture. And I'll lay them in there. And then I'm going to add some wax paper sheets to the top, probably about 2. And then I will put the remainder on the top. And then I'm going to get my hands all washed up, and then I will come back and I will show you guys what I do to prepare these for the freezer, and then also how to thaw them so they don't get all gummy on you. As you can see, I added a few more sheets of wax paper to the top. I'm gonna close my lid down. I'm not gonna press it all the way because it won't close all the way without smushing the brownies. And I'm going to wrap the box several layers thick in plastic wrap. 3 or 4 layers. And then when I put it in the freezer, I will place it somewhere where nothing will get set on top to smush them. And then when we get ready to enjoy these, I will set them out of the freezer probably about 6 to 8 hours before we want to enjoy them. And I will not unwrap them. I will let them thaw completely in the container they're in with the plastic wrap around it so that the condensation forms on the outside of the plastic. And once they're completely thawed, then I will unwrap the box and remove them from the cardboard box and place them on a platter. And it's that simple, guys.